Welcome, and thank you for tuning in today to the Human Training Your Dog is Begging You For. If you are needing help understanding your dog and their behaviors, crazy things they're doing, you've come to the right place. As always, I am Charles Countryman, my wife Laura.
Good morning.
The founders of Canine Culture Dog Training here in Dallas, Texas. And thanks again for joining us. Like we usually do, Wyatt is joining us. He's the head of dog evaluations and senior trainer. Good morning, Wyatt.
Good morning.
Well, guys, today we are going to be talking about week 2 of 4 weeks, types of dog trainers. So last week, we talked about purely positive dog training. This week, we're going to be talking about balanced dog trainers.
We are.
So balanced dog trainers. I hate that word.
Yeah.
When we first opened, I guess you could consider us a balanced dog trainer. And I guess if people tried to pigeonhole us into what type of trainer, we'd probably fall into that. Me personally, I don't like that term because it is so misused.
That's true.
You got to speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balance is and there's been used really horribly.
It's intentionally, I think, misused a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's just a cover for compulsion-based training.
That's exactly what
to make them sound good, but no.
These are no, obviously, scientific studies or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if 50% of balance trainers are compulsion-based.
Wow.
I would say half.
Yeah. And I probably would say a bunch of them don't even know it either.
They would defend to their dying breath everything. But if you watch them actually train with the dog, you're like, yeah, that's a compulsion. Now, that doesn't mean they're being mean and cruel and unkind to the dog, but they are compulsing the dog to obey.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching the dog what to do. So in, dog training communities, probably the biggest two that everybody knows about is purely positive and balanced.
Yep.
Those two camps, whether you're a purely positive trainer or a balanced trainer, it's almost like they despise each other. There's very little common ground that actually there is so much common ground. It's ridiculous. There's only, really the only separation between the two is corrections. If you really just shake it out, what is the difference between a balanced trainer and a purely positive? A balanced trainer will use a correction. A purely positive, if they truly are a purely positive, is never going to correct the dog in any form.
Well, the reason why is they think any kind of correction is like abuse, punishment, and it's just not how that works.
That's not how that works.
Sorry.
Correction should not be painful. It should be meaningful. If the dog doesn't understand the correction and the behavior that they were supposed to do, why are you correcting them? You got to go back to square one and teach them. So
I think it comes down to when they made the 4 quadrants, when they used the word punishment in it.
Yeah.
It is not what it should be. It should be a different word.
Yeah, the 4 quadrants of dog training, that word punishment jacks up the 4 quadrants.
It just means take away and add, and then punishment, I don't know what word it should be, but it shouldn't be that because it's not what it's not what it was meant to be.
It doesn't mean what they mean in the 4 quadrants.
Yeah. Well, the definition term of a punishment, it makes sense, but when everyone thinks of a punishment, is not that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the wrong term.
Yeah. But you can add too. Yeah, it's something the dog does not want.
Right.
And that could be, it wants all the treats and you're not giving them any.
Withholding them.
You're not giving them any treats.
So that's technically a punishment because you have withheld the toy or the treat.
Yeah.
Or their affection or whatever it is. Or not allowed the dog to jump on your bed.
Yeah.
That's a negative punishment.
I would say, if you were going to be, if we're going to be technical, if a balance trainer is truly a balance trainer, they're probably trying to operate in all 4 quadrants.
Yes.
Because they utilize the punishment quadrant. A purely positive is only going to work in really 3 of the quadrants.
Well, if they're purely positive, they go to the
Actually, they're only in the two too.
No, they might not be P negative. They might not do the positive.
You want to go over the quadrants for people that have no idea what?
Well, let's do a whole podcast.
Okay, when was when jargon?
No, that's a great one. So we have 2 more episodes on types of trainers, and then I think for sure we're gonna the next episode will be on the 4 quadrants. We'll break them down, what they mean, how people just get stuck in them.
Yeah, because you can't really train if your brain is thinking, "What quadrant am I in?"
You missed the moment to work with that dog because you're trying to process what quadrant is the dog and am I in right now.
Well, and
just train the dog in front of you.
It's like the Pirates Code. It's guidelines. It'll never, dogs don't cookie cutter perfectly fit into your shoehorn. It doesn't work that way.
Because they're all
different. Yeah.
So probably,
let's go back to balance.
Yeah, the balance trainer, the main one is, like most trainers, they're training the dog, they're working with the dog, right? They're using treats, they're using motivators, it's 90% of dog training, probably more than that, is all positive. It's only when the dog's making a mistake that you would remove something positive, or give them a leash correction. But I always preface any correction shouldn't be you shouldn't be correcting the dog if you haven't truly taught the dog exactly what to do on that behavior. Otherwise, you're not correcting the dog. You are, as far as I'm concerned, punishing the dog.
Yeah. And I think some owners and some trainers, they think they've taught that dog, say, sit.
Right.
In their facility, in their house, wherever they're doing training. But the dog won't sit at Walmart or wherever you're taking your dog. That's because dogs live in pictures and they don't know this.
They haven't had those pictures.
You're not supposed to sit in that hallway at a grocery store or whatever. So then they punish them, which is completely unfair.
Yeah, because dog doesn't know how to do it there yet.
Yeah.
Well, then the person doesn't realize they're punishing their dog because in their brain, oh, my dog knows how to sit. Yes. Why aren't you sitting? You must be being stubborn or a jerk or something. Yeah. They don't understand that, no, the dog has no idea what you want. Yeah.
And now they'll figure it out fast if you laid the foundation and truly taught the dog that behavior. They'll figure it out fast because, oh, okay, I got it. We're going to help them figure it out. Yes. So you'd sit outside. You'd sit walking to the building. You'd sit as soon as you come in the building. You're going to sit with no people around. You're going to ease the dog into those pictures.
And in the new places, you are going to go back to basics and you're going to lure with that treat and you're going to start over.
Exactly. Start all over.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say my dog's blowing me off. It's like, no, you need to slow it down and go backwards.
Yeah. Your dog almost always is not blowing you off. Yeah. They do not have the ability or the skill yet to give you their focus. That's what's happening.
Or you have not built...
And you're getting greedy and going too fast for your dog.
Or you have decided you are not the biggest motivator in your dog's life.
Right.
Because if your dog is truly blowing you off because you're boring, and that squirrel is way awesome.
Yep.
Smell the dog food store.
Or whatever it is, it's got more value than the treat. I can't make the treat more valuable than the treat always is.
Yeah. But I think that's one big thing about balance trainers, and they get the bad rap is...
And in the purely positive community, balance trainers are, purely positive, typically do not like balance trainers. And the reason is there's, that segment of balance trainers that really are not balance trainers. They're correction based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the ones that get the videos out.
And they're the ones, unfortunately, putting jacked up videos of, it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, but you're ruining it for the rest of us. Please stop.
Yes, please stop training dogs. Or go learn from somebody and, it's something you want to do. But
most of them are board and train facilities too, and it just makes it even harder for everyone else to train that dog correctly. It's so frustrating.
Really the main thing if someone's looking at a balanced trainer is, or a purely positive trainer, go meet the trainer. Don't sign up over the phone. Go meet the trainer.
See where your dog's trained at.
And then see where the dog's going to sleep. If they won't show you where they're sleep, run. If they won't show you where they're going to train, run. If somebody works from their home, then that's fine. But if you don't want clients coming to your home to see your home, then don't train from your home, because that's a reasonable and a fair expectation that somebody's going to, see, your house because I want to see where my dog's going to train. I want to see where they're going to sleep. I want to see, where they're going to be for the week, 2-3 weeks that they're going to be with a stranger. So you got to meet the trainer. You got to see where they're going to train their dog. But then you have, how you really pick a trainer, especially if it's a balanced trainer or a purely positive trainer, is, would you agree, Laura, you watch them train a dog?
Yes. A dog, not their dog.
Not their dog. You don't care one iota. People shouldn't care one iota about a demo dog. Right?
Yes, they should not. Yeah, because it's your dog. One of my dogs, but George and Lincoln are amazing dogs. That's because I worked them since they were 8 weeks old, and sometimes hours on end because they're my dogs and I like doing it. So some dog that is not theirs is good.
And the reason I hate when a trainer uses one of their personal dogs to show, the skills, to me, it's almost like a bait and switch. It's implying after 3 weeks, your dog could look like this. No, we put a lot of work into our dogs. You're not going to get that in 3 weeks.
They have chain commands together. So this dog does repetition 4 or 5 or 6 times a day. So if the dog can't do it perfectly, then the trainer, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
It is just something they do. It's a show.
They're basically putting on a show. Like you said, they're daisy chaining a whole bunch of tricks, if you really look at it, of walking backwards, getting on a place, jumping on an object, sit down, walk in reverse, heel, slip through your legs. They do the same routine over and over. So the dog has literally memorized the routine. It doesn't matter if a squirrel ran between your legs. He's probably going to still do all of those routines because it's habit now. It's just it's muscle memory. There we go.
And they usually have a very high drive dog. Mal or a shepherd.
So it looks flashy because he's doing it fast.
They have a toy on their person
to get their state of arousal up.
I'll tell you another dirty little secret out in the industry. People buy demo dogs.
Oh,
they
God,
train someplace else and then train.
They'll buy a $5,000 or $10,000 demo dog to show people what they could get. Well, golly, that person didn't even train that dog. They bought it trained. Yeah, that is a dirty secret. I forget about that people do that. A lot of franchises do that.
So back to balance train. To me, balance trainers, we technically are one, but we decide we're not one. But what it kind of means is they use whatever the dog needs to train. So if the dog just needs a slip lead, they get a slip lead. If they need a prong, they get a prong. If they need treats, toys, they need
love and affection.
Whatever the training needs that the owner wants for the dogs, we use.
Right.
Or a balance trainer.
A balance trainer would use. Right. But most balance trainers typically, and again, like we mentioned, there's no survey on this, so it's just personal opinion. I would say about half balance trainers are e-collar trainers. Maybe it's higher. Yeah. If it's a franchise, I don't know of a franchise, dog training franchise in America that is not an e-collar trainer.
The problem, because we are very upfront with our owners, we can get to your dog. We don't guarantee anything. A 3-week dog depends on what behavioral issues, mental, emotional issues your dog has. We can get them, and then we show you how to get beyond that.
Right.
Some places guarantee a dog could do X, Y, and Z in 2 weeks. And it's not possible. 2 weeks in a dog's life, it's a very short amount of time.
And if anybody, if you ever meet with, people meet with a trainer that guarantees your dog will recall past a squirrel or do this in this environment or this situation. I'm not talking, will I guarantee you I'll teach your dog to sit? Well, heck yeah. But when we're talking about behaviors, what another dirty secret in the industry is if they're using an e-collar, they're typically compulsing the dog to perform that behavior because they have guaranteed that person, your dog will do X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, I got to give this guy all their money back or gal. Guess what? They're going to make that dog do X, Y, and Z. And now that is brutally unfair to your dog. They're putting the guarantee on the dog's shoulders instead of them taking the time. Sometimes you just slow down and teach the dog what you really want them to know. That's why guarantees sound cool until you know what the unintended consequence you have just placed on your dog is.
And a guarantee is because most dogs, we call them green dogs, it's a basic dog. It doesn't have
happy-go-lucky.
Dog.
Yep.
In 3 weeks, I personally can train a dog to do a lot of things. Pretty much all
Amazing thing.
amazing
Yeah.
things. But that's not guaranteeing no one can do any of this.
Right.
Obviously, they can't.
We have to help them transfer that knowledge
Which we
over.
am good class. But yeah, I don't understand how guarantees even work, because once they take that dog home,
Right. If they're not doing any repetition,
then the dog's just going to go back to
back.
the dog.
they're going to go back to their practiced behaviors that they've always done with that owner. So that's why transitioning those skills over to the owner is half the training. The dog part's actually the easiest part.
Yeah.
The human aspect of the leash is the hardest part.
Yeah. But I think what balance trainers are, I just think they've gone off the deep end. I think a lot of franchise have not been not good for their
Or
dog training.
the balance trainer side of training.
Because they have to get compulsive base, because people that start these franchise, just like McDonald's franchise, they didn't flip hamburgers forever, and they have not trained dogs. They went to a school somewhere
for 3 weeks,
for a very small
and you
time.
can't learn dog training in 3 weeks. You can't even learn how to run a business in 3 weeks. But they're trying to teach you to do both, run a business and be a dog trainer, and train dog trainers all in 21 days.
Yeah.
That's not possible. It is literally not possible.
So if you go and have with the trainers, finding a trainer, don't let them put I'm going to say this. Don't let them put an e-collar on your dog and have them show you how they train dogs.
Right.
Without that e-collar.
Yeah. Have them show you how they train dogs without an e-collar.
Yes. That's the big one.
We gave a tour to somebody recently that's a balance trainer, and they use e-collars. And they were watching a couple of our trainers train, and they said, "Oh, you don't have to use e-collars?" I said, "No, not unless a client specifically asks us to train their dog to communicate with an e-collar." And he asked me, "Well, how do you train the dog?" And I thought he was kidding.
Yeah.
So I kind of explained it a little bit, and I thought he was just joking. And then he asked me again, "Well, how do you train the dog without an e-collar?" And that's when I went, "Holy crap. How many trainers that use e-collars literally don't know how to train a dog without an e-collar?" If we do use an e-collar with a dog, because our clients asked us to train their dog with an e-collar, we always first ask why. Why do you want your dog to have an e-collar? If it's not for a lot of off-leash work, there's almost no reason to have a dog on an e-collar. It's just, there's really no reason. Then if we're going to go ahead and proceed with training the dog with an e-collar, we don't even put an e-collar on the dog until the second week. And the reason is a lot of balance trainers use the e-collar as a shortcut. They're speeding everything up, and they're skipping steps. They're skipping
training the dog.
training the dog. They're compulsing the dog to comply, and they think they've trained the dog. No, the dog's afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's not a fun that's not fun to be in. Just think about, if you were afraid to make a mistake, you probably wouldn't try something new because you'd be afraid of the consequence if you made a mistake. We want our dogs to be more than willing, because the only way to teach them something new is that they're not afraid to try something new, because there's no consequence of making a mistake.
Yeah. That's how everything works.
Yeah.
But yeah, the e-collar, we layer it onto already known behaviors.
Right. So you lay after the behavior's been taught.
Because e-collars can do more than just off-leash stuff. Like, I just trained a dog that the dog lost its mind, supposedly, with the owner. It did, I guess. But the e-collar, very low levels, helped that dog refocus back onto what I needed to do. But that was like a stopgap. Is that the right word, stopgap? Or that was just a small window of that dog's life. Dog's not on it anymore.
Right. It was for the owner. I like to say it's a transitional phase to help the dog understand how to get their mind out of the stuck.
Yeah. And now the dog doesn't have one. The dog is basically on a flat collar.
And like you said, it was low level. So if you are meeting with a balance trainer and they do use e-collars, a lot of them will have you touch it and feel it, and some won't, but most will. That's all happy, well, and good, but you really need to know what is the normal setting on that dial that they actually train dogs. So we hired a trainer one time that used to be a trainer for a franchise. I'm not going to say the name of which one. And she said they start at 90. The collar only goes up to level 100. And I'm like, oh my, 90 hurts. 90 is freaking painful.
Hurts.
Yeah. I mean, holy crap. I couldn't believe she said they start at 90. until the dog is. So our dogs don't ever really have an e-collar unless we're like really doing crazy off-leash stuff. Our personal dogs. Right?
They love it when that thing comes
Yeah,
out.
because they know we're going to go do some crazy stuff. So they get all excited. Oh, yeah, put it on. And it's just on our belt loop. It's for the what if. The rabbit ran across the road and they're chasing the rabbit across the highway, and they're 100 yards ahead of us. I mean, if our dogs are in our bubble, we don't put one on at all. And I define our bubble as 20 feet. If you stay within 20 feet of me, I can communicate and we're not going to have any issues. The e-collar just lets us let our dogs really get out there and, explore in case there's a rattlesnake or something. But Lincoln's a Malinois. He's a level 12 out of a level 100. I don't feel anything on the e-collar until 28. What do you feel?
I think 17.
17. And George is, what's George, a 10 or a 9 or something like that?
He's our high drive dog. He wants to chase.
Yeah, he's got a super prey drive.
Bad.
And then our lab.
She's a 2.
At 2. I can put the e-collar on my tongue and can't feel 5. How she feels 2, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. That's what she feels. Proper use of the e-collar is just to grab somebody's attention. Yeah. It shouldn't be to punish a dog. Pure. And there is another thing, I guess, that's pretty common in the balanced dog training community is they'll use the e-collar too high because they're using the e-collar to get the dog to respond faster and faster and faster. So they'll hold the button down to get the dog to sit, and when the dog sits, they let the button go. Yeah. That means the dog's feeling a sensation nonstop until the button is released. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they're going to sit fast. They want to turn that, they call it pressure, collar pressure off. Yeah. But it wouldn't be pressure unless it's pretty high. Otherwise, there would be no pressure. Yeah. So it's the manner and how they use it. That's why you really want to watch and see somebody use an e-collar with a client's dog, not their own dog. And watch how many times their thumb or finger is tapping the button when they're working with the dog. If they're continuously tapping the button on the e-collar remote control for the same command over and over, the dog doesn't understand the command because they wouldn't need the e-collar to remind them or to prompt them into compliance.
You can also see the light on that e-collar.
Yeah, so you can also see, just watch that light in case you can't see their fingers.
So e-collars can be misused.
Absolutely. Yeah. And have we done an episode on e-collars? Yeah, I think we talked about it. Yeah. So we'll definitely do an episode on e-collars. Oh, yeah. When we were talking about tools, we said we were going to do one. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we'll do one after these and the 4 quadrants.
And prongs, I don't know if we went over those.
We did. And we talked about tools.
We use prongs, obviously.
With some dogs, not all.
Dogs, nope. Some dogs just need martingale.
Yep. And the same thing with the prong. Most dogs are on a prong or on one for 1 or 2 days. If it's sized correctly, it works as compression, not poke. Yeah. And then the real idea is to transition the dog out of the tool so we can make life easy for the client. Just put a collar on their dog. Yeah.
If you condition the leash and whatever collar you're using properly, the prong collar should be I don't know why I wanted to say stopgap, but it should be a very small window that is in their life.
Yeah. Yep. Transition in it and out it and through it. I'm not sure if our talk today on balance trainers was a good one or a negative one.
Because we don't like being called balance.
I don't like to be called.
Because we don't want to be
I don't want to be clumped in with them. Yeah, and there are unfortunately too many. And if you talk to any reputable dog trainer, they don't want to be clumped with any other trainer either, whether it's purely positive or balanced or compulsion. I mean, judge us by our own work, not by somebody else's. And that's why, when people come here, they watch us train clients' dogs. Even if it's a first day dog, people understand he's not going to sit well because it's his first day of training. I wouldn't think people would be really impressed that my dog sat when I said sit. Of course he would. Why? I mean, he's my dog. Why would you want to watch my dog sit? You want to see what we can help your dog understand. So, I guess we'll kind of wrap this up. In closing, if you are looking into training, we've talked about Purely Positive. If you didn't catch that episode, it was last week's episode. Listen to it. Today was balance train errors. Just dig in, ask them what a correction is, how they correct it, how they correct the dog, what they decide is a correction. Yeah, make sure that you're on board with their definition of a correction and the use of the correction and the circumstance in which a correction would be made. Ask deep questions about an e-collar.
Yes.
Probing questions about the e-collar. You're looking for consistency. So ask several questions about any e-collar use if they use an e-collar. Will you always need it? If someone says your dog should always need an e-collar, get the hell out of there.
Yes.
That dog's not trained. And again, unfortunately, I'm going to go back to quite a few franchises. Their dogs always have an e-collar.
They're personal dogs.
They're personal dogs, always, for life. Like, what the heck? Nobody comes in and signs up for dog training and says, I want you to train my dog to rely on this other device to listen to me. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. Yeah, their own personal dogs are on e-collars for virtually their entire life.
Yeah.
That's not a trained dog. Because I know when the e-collar's not on, they can get away with whatever they want, so they don't have to obey. Because they took shortcuts along the process. Dog training's, expensive and it's time consuming. There's no shortcut. I wish there was, but there just is not. God, but if you think about it, we spent 18 years spitting out humans, to become an adult. Thank God dogs train faster than humans. All right. So hopefully today was helpful for you. Next week, we will be talking about compulsion-based dog trainers, and we'll really dig into that and give you examples of what that looks like and why you should definitely run for the hills. But you might not know you're dealing with a compulsion-based trainer. So we really want to give you tips on key things that would help you recognize, whoa, this is a compulsion-based dog trainer. And if so, you don't do that to your dog. Find another trainer. If you are needing help with your dog, we would love to be part of you and your dog's training journey. Just reach out to us, k-9culture.com. Or you could give us a call. Our phone number's on the website. And then be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. K9 Culture Dog Training DFW is our handles on those. And until next week, go have fun with your dog.